Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Stories with Theo Mayer. Day 20, continuing with Lenka, the fisherman's daughter. So we left Lenka and the king dining. Remember that Lenka had come to visit the king and she had to fulfill a number of specific conditions in order to have a successful visit, including arriving neither in the day nor the night, neither riding nor walking, neither clothed or naked, and bearing a gift that was no gift at all. Lenka did it, and the king was enamored. They had breakfast together, chatted away with each other, and time just went by very quickly. They went out in the gardens surrounding the palace, walked, enjoyed the beauty, and soon it was time to have a meal again at noontime. So they sat together again and enjoyed each other's company, and they just were having a great time. Afternoon, they played some games of chess together, some backgammon, found that they were quite equal in their abilities. And from there, they dined. Well, at the end of dinner, the king took Lenka home. And he did so very discreetly. He picked out a little one-horse buggy and drove her home. It was very discreet, so that no one really knew that that was the king that was delivering Lenka home again. And he did get out and greet Lenka's dad again. And in the days and weeks and months that followed, Lenka and the king got together often, enjoying each other's company greatly. They went for rides out in the countryside, picnics, they dined together, danced together. They enjoyed just being together. And their love and appreciation for each other grew and grew to the point where after about a year's time, the king asked for Lenka's hand in marriage. Now, his father had told him, if you're interested in someone, make sure you wait an entire year before you decide to marry that person, so that you know them through all of the seasons. So that's what he did. And he had found that Lenka was just a delight through all the seasons. He did ask Lenka's dad for his approval, which he was. He had grown quite fond of the king as well over those months where they had dated with each other. Now, all of it had been quite discreet, but I will tell you that the wedding ceremony was not. It was really incredible. And everyone was invited, as should be the case in Lenka's little town. They were married in front of the town hall, and the board over the doors had been changed. I will tell you later what it had been changed to. Now, the king, when he married Lenka, had given her one condition that their union would be based on. Well, not based on, but one condition that she would need to follow. And that was that she was not to interfere with any of his royal affairs. In other words, if he were to be making a decision on something, that she wasn't to get involved in that whole thing. He just felt like that would be better. Let him deal with the affairs of state, and she could just be his lovely wife. Well, all was good for quite a long time, I will tell you. But there was a situation that came up. Now, it just so happened that there was an inn that was halfway in between the palace and the town where Lenka had grown up. And, well, at this inn, there were some people staying that came to sell their wares in the town. Every week there was like a market, and people came from all over to sell things to the people in the town. Well, it turned out that a farmer was there, and he brought with him a wagon that was loaded with produce and eggs and flowers and all those beautiful things that you can grow on a farm. And staying in the inn as well was a person that sold brooms. And he had a cart that he would just pull along by hand. The farmer had a cart because there was so much stuff that was pulled by his mare. Now the mare was in full. And it turned out that the night that he and the broom maker were staying at this inn, that the mare foaled. She had her new little baby horse. And in the morning, the broom maker was the first one up and out. And there, standing by his broom cart, was this beautiful young little horse. And he laid claim to this little horse. And the farmer came out and he was like, "What are you talking about? That's my horse. My mare just gave birth to that horse." Well, there was a huge argument that went on, and the farmer, of course, took the horse, which the little foal needed the mare's milk anyway. But the strange thing is, and people can say anything. Well, the broom maker ended up going to the king and complaining that the farmer had taken his foal. Now, the king, on that particular day where he heard the story, he was busy with making a lot of other decisions. And he really didn't listen too closely to what this guy was saying. And so he said, "Well, bring the farmer in, we'll talk about it." He should have dismissed it, of course, right away. But so the next day, the farmer came in with the broom maker because this guy was making such a fuss. And the king, again, sort of distracted by what he'd been distracted with before, he gave possession of this young little horse, which by this time was quite a number of months old. He gave possession of the horse to the broom maker. Well, the farmer, of course, was not very happy by this, the outcome of this situation. It was ridiculous. And so he went home disgruntled and trying to figure out what to do next. It turned out the king went off on a thing that he did every year where he just kind of toured through various sections of his kingdom, making sure that the olive groves were being handled in the usual and proper way. And Lenka had decided to stay back from this trip, though she'd accompanied him before. And the farmer came to the palace to complain to the king in person, but the king was gone. Now, Lenka heard the farmer's story, and she just wrinkled up her brow and was like, "Really? The king awarded the horse to the broom maker?" She knew that the farmer was being honest, and she had never doubted her husband's decision-making before, but this pushed it a little too far. And she felt like she needed to do something to help this poor farmer out. Well, they sat and discussed things for a little while. And Lenka came up with a plan for the farmer. to follow through with in order to hopefully get his little horse back. Now, the king was on his way back, very close to the palace, and the farmer knew that his arrival was to be expected and had shown up that day in the road with a fishing net. He was throwing the fishing net out into the dusty dirt road, pulling it in as if he was fishing in the dirt for fish. And the king, as he approached the farmer throwing his net, stopped and watched, for he had never before seen such a strange sight as this. All right, we're going to leave the story right there. What will the king do? How will the conversation unfold between the king and the farmer? Okay, we'll find out tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. And thanks for joining.